Right, good afternoon, David.
Good
You made it.
afternoon. Literally, just made it. Literally minutes ago.
I know, it
Uh,
was 5 minutes ago. I was trying to hear you. I've wrote this
this,
show for
this
3
was
weeks.
my last day officially at Westmark. So I had to go through the ceremony, ringing the bell, and all the rest of it, right? To say that I can now walk. So there you go. And what it held me back, plus the fact the ambulance was an hour late. So there you are. All right. Do
Aye.
apologise, guys.
Hey, bother. Right, that's Facebook on board. I better get the chat up, David.
Right. Okay, I'll get my
Oh, get down, get down, get down. Where's the
volume
chat?
down. Fuck
Right,
off,
let's
Dave.
get the chat up. Have a wee look, see who's in. James Connolly, Julie Brown, Stephen Bankier, Eddie Wolfie, Rosie McGregor, Henry. Looks like Henry, actually. Looks like Eddie. Hi, Maggie. Sorry, Margaret. Any Facebookers in yet? Hi, Hugh. Hi, Roddy. Scroll down. Jesus Christ. The comments move fast, David. Hi, Ange. Hi, Alex.
Don't forget, they're all just coming in. So it's the initial comment.
Aye. We're not up with the 100 mark yet. And Mark Leslie and Norrie Webster are the first two into Facebook that I can see. There may be more. Right, David, we're up over the 100 mark. So
Good.
let's get this broadcast underway. Aye, we're all right, Darties. Right. Stussy over Stephen Flynn's bid for Holyrood. What do you make it?
I think it's marvellous. I think it's sooner that he has got his feet planted well and truly on Holyrood, then we have a real contender for First Minister, and we have got a real possibility that First Minister will lead us to independence.
Well, David, we know that's why he wants to come up the road. We also know there's roadblocks in his way.
Why?
The first one being, of course,
they can all be overcome, all of them.
Of course they could, but the first one being the sitting MSP.
Yeah.
Right, but he's got a relationship with Audrey, so he should be able to sort that out.
Yeah.
Right. The second obstacle is how the party will vote on changing the rules to allow him to run.
Yeah. Well, I as an SNP member, one of the people that they rely on for not signatures, but voting yes or no, right? I'll be voting yes.
Aye, so will I, but in this particular occasion, but we understand why they did it.
Yeah.
And we all voted for them not to do it in the future. But now we need that fresh talent at Holyrood.
We need Stephen Flynn up the road.
We need fresh leadership, of course we do. Now, of course, as I say, it depends on how much pressure and swing there is in the party. If John's going to dig his heels in, will a motion to change the rules actually make it onto the agenda?
But they'll have to, if enough members raise their voices and say, I want this.
Yes. That's how it's supposed to work, David.
Well, that's the way it does work. It's just that Mr. Swinney is trying to change things.
Yeah. I haven't noticed them trying to change anything, to be honest with you. To be fair, I think he's just ticking along as an administrator.
Well, his banner for the last election was all about independence.
Aye.
Right? And the first chance he gets, he tells us, we're on the wrong road here. We need to just calm down and all wait for a bit. Wait for like 25 years or 30 years or whatever, and we'll see what happens. Right? Seriously, I want John Swinney out of that seat.
David, everybody knows that. But what we're talking about is the fact that especially the press, I mean, I don't see the infighting in in the party. When I speak to local officials, what they're telling me is, need to see if we can get the vote to change the rules. You know? And as you say, David,
we shouldn't call them officials. What they are is just people like you and me who have managed to get them gerrymander themselves into a position of power within the party.
That's not how it works at all, David.
Well,
I'm on the North Lanarkshire Policy Forum, and I had to be voted on here.
Right. By whom?
Don't know how it works at your branch.
By whom?
How it works at your branch is we vote people into positions.
Yeah, but so in other words, what you're saying is the normal SNP members that turn up at the branch meetings are the people that make the votes. All right.
Well, right. At this point in time, actually, most of them do the voting online, David.
Well, can I just say something, right? Make sure that if you are going to be online, make sure you go online, make sure you vote to get rid of John Swinney, and make sure you vote to make sure that things are happening in terms of getting Stephen Flynn into that seat.
It's up to the branches to force a vote at the conference.
Yeah.
Right. And what I'm being told is it's up to the branches to sort it out. Put forward the motion to be dealt with at conference, basically is the message I'm hearing from the officials.
Yeah. Interesting.
And, but the other, that's all right, provided we're going to, that will change things, provided we get enough branches put this forward as a motion.
Well, we had an awful situation at the last conference whereby we were trying to get a plebiscite election onto the skates for the general election, right? And if you remember, the actual thing was gerrymandered by the leadership, so that there was all these, let's call them, hurdles put in the way.
You're talking about under whom's eye?
Yeah.
Yes. Right. Now let's move on, David. This one's quite serious, actually. And there is a point here. SNP trim a third of its staff at its Edinburgh HQ. The move comes after losing out on 1.5 million in short money from the loss of MPs at Westminster.
Right.
And also comes from lack of donations from big business, the wider Labour and the Tory party get. Now, the reason for that one is quite simple. Would you like to explain it, or would you like me to explain it?
You explain it, David.
The SNP have no influence and the economy is reserved.
Yeah.
So if you are a big business, a big donor, and you want to influence policy, then you donate to the big two at Westminster, because Westminster controls the economy. The economy is reserved. Now, I don't know how many times I've pointed this out, and David's pointed it out. When you see this, it's the economy, stupid. When they're talking along in Holyrood, it always baffles me as why somebody doesn't just turn up and say, why are we discussing this shit? It's reserved.
Yeah, that in itself is a $65,000 question. It's why isn't the question asked, or isn't the statement made?
Aye.
You know, for somebody to stand up and say, hang on a minute, we don't run the economy. It's reserved to Westminster. You know?
Graham, I don't know if you know how this works. Your branch can put forward a motion and it might get selected, but it's more likely to be selected if multiple branches are putting forward the same motion.
Yeah.
So if your branch has put forward a motion and that there was no interest in that subject for other branches, then there's every chance your motion wasn't going to get called to the floor of the conference, Graham. So that's the point about how the system works, Graham.
Yeah, that needs explained to each member.
It does need explained to each member. We are quite lucky locally at the branch when I could attend the branch physically. We had a great education officer there.
Yeah.
You know, so there you go. But how it works is, generally, branches have the same interest, so generally multiple branches will put forward a motion for something. And that's generally how they be selected. A single motion for a single branch might get selected, but it's less likely if it's only coming from one branch. If it's coming from multiple branches, then it's a thing of a party interest, and it's more likely to hit the floor.
Yeah.
Right. And generally, to be fair, David, you and I know this, have been party members for a long time. Generally, actually, what does happen is branches, they all make motions independently of each other, but on the same subject, because the public interest generally is the same right across anyway.
Yeah.
You know. Right, anyway, back to these cuts. Now, apparently, the party is now dependent on small donations like you and I make a couple of times a year, David, plus for party dues. They say when you had 50 MPs, then you might get a big donation because 50 might have an influence on public policy and on the economy down that road. But generally, the Scottish parties, if you take even the Scottish Conservative Party and the Scottish Labour Party, they don't get big companies investing in them either. That's all down to their HQs in England.
Yeah.
You know. So, but anyway, we hear this one. Now, according to the party's National Secretary, Alex Kerr, councillor, apparently this is streamlining to get his battle fit for 2026. Streamlining. It's happening all with the HQ as it is, with 65,000 members and 26 members of staff. And we know what Murray Foot stood down because he didn't want to restructure the party. He made it clear in his public statement he didn't have the time to restructure the party. Downsizing at this point in time is probably a financial necessity, people.
Yeah.
But it's not a great idea in the run into an election. Anyway, this claim that it's to get is streamlined and battle ready. That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard in my life. And the one thing we do know is, come this election, Labour will have the mainstream media on their side and they'll have money to throw at it here in Scotland. Because the party down south will want to throw money at it here in Scotland.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. But do you think the people of Scotland are going to fall for the Labour trick twice?
Yes.
You reckon so?
Yep.
What's the old saying? Fool me once.
Doesn't matter. No, it doesn't matter. I don't know how many times people have been fooled. In my lifetime, David.
Yeah.
We've been conned by almost every fucking government that I can think of.
Yeah.
The last honest one was probably Attlee.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, look at this. Current Bamport going to do away with tuition fees, was he? Going to introduce a national care service, was he? Going to give the workers more rights, was he? Going to grow the economy when they're actually systematically fucking destroying it. That last budget showed that, David. Casino gambling with pensions. Oh no, we'll get there. We get fucking Rachel budget. This is just nuts. You know what I mean? Right, this one's a wee tribute to a long-standing party member, folks. I'm sorry if you're not a party member. But SNP MSP for Cunningham South in Ayrshire announces she will not be seeking re-election in 2026 due to the return of her cancer. Now, Ruth Maguire was first diagnosed with cervical cancer in 2021, and she's been told the cancer has returned. Now, Miss Maguire, Ruth, has said that she'll continue to serve her constituencies to the best of her ability until the next election. Right, now Ruth was first elected as an SNP official in 2012 to North Ayrshire Council. She went through the usual party apprenticeship, David, you know, party activist, put herself forward for selection, got vetted, elected to North Ayrshire Council, and then put herself forward for selection to Holyrood in 2016, where she was successful, and she was re-elected in 2021. Now, Ruth's been a long-term party member, and it's sad because she's a young woman. She's born in 1976. What's that? 48.
I had a friend that died of cervical cancer at the age of 32.
Aye.
Now, dreadful.
Now, Ruth is well liked in Ayrshire, where she was a youth champion, and sat on the board of a charity that dealt with domestic abuse, and she was a champion of women's rights as well. She worked in social policy for the Social Security Scotland, and she was a hard-working, hard-grafting MSP, and we wish her well. We really do, for the future. So, folks, that's just a wee tribute to Ruth, who has been pounding the streets for independence.
It's an interesting thing, an interesting question. Right? Now, gone are the times when you used to see somebody's got cancer, they die, right?
Aye.
What we're seeing a lot of now, which is good, is people end up they get you've got cancer, right? Cancer of this, whatever, right? And they last for a long, long time.
Aye.
I hope those stats get bigger and bigger and bigger as time goes on. That Beats in Clinic that we've got is fantastic. It really is.
It really is. It's up there in the top 3 cancer care facilities in the world, actually.
Yeah. So look at my hair. Sorry, guys.
Don't worry about your bloody hair. Nobody's looking at your hair. You might be conscious about what you look like at your age and old Bergie.
I still have a look.
It's alright, need to fucking rest of the day. So I wanted to pay a tribute to Ruth. She's been found in the streets for independence since she was a young lassie, because John Finney, her father, you and I are both aware of John as well, they're a long-term member as well.
Yeah.
So that's just a tribute to Ruth, and to wish her well in the future.
Yeah.
If she, let's hope she gets the all clear again, because it was a very short all clear, David. All clear again in 2001 and back again in 2004. 2024, sorry. 2021, 2024. Right, this one's, we'll need to move on, but this one is important, David, and it also makes me smile. And it also makes me wonder. Now, it makes me wonder, what's John going to do here?
Yeah.
Green Party. Right, here we go. Green Party demand SNP keep up spend on preparation for independence in the coming budget as part of a deal to pass that budget. Whereas on the other side, the other middle party of the Fib Dems, the irrelevant, they're offering to get the SNP's budget passed if the SNP agree to scrap spending on preparation for independence. The question is, which way is John going to go? Will he take the Green Deal and continue on the road to preparation for independence? Now, folks, if you don't understand what the roads are, let me tell you that since Alex Salmond came to power the first time in his minority, he started putting together the infrastructure for independence. He started introducing a tax system, right? And then he moved on to making sure that local authorities and all that were under the control of the Scottish Parliament, created better ties with these authorities. And then, of course, demanded more devolution, so we get things like the Scottish Social Security and things like that, after he lost the referendum. So They have been putting plans and infrastructure into place because everything else is there. We've got the legal system, the education system, just wee things that need to be sorted out, like taxing and banking and things like that, which they've all that, which they've done now. You know, it's been a point to do.
Something that was discussed today, and I'm sorry to break in on you, right? Was I was told by one of the ambulance men that brought me back, oh, we can't go independent because we don't have a Bank of England. I said, we've got the Scottish Investment Bank, and literally on a phone call, we can change that to the Scottish Central Bank.
Of course we could.
We would have our own version of the Bank of England.
But see, when they talk about spend on preparation, David, that's what we mean when they talk about spend on preparation, because what they're doing is they're getting all the legislation in place so that they can just say, bang, you're now the central bank.
Yep.
Getting it ready to be forced through the Scottish Parliament and put into place. Now, folks, when you don't understand if you don't understand what it means when we talk about preparation for independence, there's all these things, things like a licensing scheme for the North Sea. All these things have got to be put in place. And that's all been done quietly in the background.
Yep.
Now, the Greens want that to continue. The Brit Nats obviously want it to stop. The question is, what way is John going to swing? If he swings to Lib Dems, we know that he's kicking this into long grass for 10, 20, 30 years. If he swings towards the Green, then we're still travelling in the right direction, because in the background, the preparation to make Scotland an independent country and all the institutions and laws that we need passed for that will continue to be worked on.
Yeah.
As well as prospectuses to be put out to the people so that we understand what they're doing in the background. So if you're not getting the papers that started under Nicola Sturgeon and reading them, which the majority aren't, then you're not understanding the work that's going on in the background.
And unfortunately, in a situation like that, what you would have to do is you'd have to introduce these things on talk shows, on ways that you can actually give the information to your standard Scot that doesn't bother with politics.
Oh, but very importantly, David, I mean, even if these prospectuses were sent out to every household,
even the fact of using the word prospectus, it's got to be more basic. It's got to be here's what we're going to do, and that's how it's going to affect you.
Actually, it's very like this is how it will function.
Yeah.
We already have this under the UK. This is how it will function under an independent Scotland. Yeah. And this is the infrastructure and the laws that will make it happen.
Again, you're using big words, and we need to use little words to explain it. It needs to be put across to the people of Scotland. Dead easy.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, sorry.
This is the law that will allow us to have a central bank. There's no that noise, David.
No. Don't, because
I get that this is going to have to be in simple language, but that's what these papers that Nicola Sturgeon's been putting out is doing. It is in simple language, David.
But nobody's reading the papers that Nicola Sturgeon's putting out.
And to whom I continue sending them out, and John's still doing it and all for the time being.
Yeah, okay.
And you're right. There's only me reading them.
He's got a special. David's got listen, guys. David's got a special anorak that he wears, especially for reading all this stuff.
No, I don't. I do it in the
house. Yeah, you do. Yeah, you do.
Yeah. It's just that when it's announced that these things are out there, they're not that big. I just grab them and have a quick read.
Fuck's sake! When I took you into the blooming League of Sovereign Scots, I didn't realise what I created when I said to you, "Go read about it." Fuck's sake! Did you know half?
Yeah, I already had a history in that sort of muppetry anyway. You know what I mean? And a bloody long memory.
Yeah.
And where the long memory's been feeling of the iPads.
Don't forget, at the time I had one of the biggest communication companies in north of England.
So you did.
Allowing me access to the internet. And I came up the road thinking Scotland was too poor. And then I investigated and I found out it's not too wee and it's not too poor. At the moment, it's too fucking stupid.
Right, anyway.
We've got people that voted Labour, and that's stupid. Sorry, those people, but it's fact. All right. Anyway,
did we cover the energy story? Aye, that's how we go here, wasn't it? We're covering the energy story. Right, let's move on, shall we? Right, moving on down that road, and Rachel Reeves' budget is starting to come undone. It's caused wobbles in the financial market, and of course, we've got farmers threatening the food supply chain.
Yes.
And of course, don't forget the casino pensions. There's a lot.
The one thing you don't do, the one thing you do not do, you do not attack the farmers.
No, you don't.
The farmers are already in a sticky wicket as it goes.
Aye, because of Brexit.
It's more difficult for them than to go, bugger it. Right, let's sell it off. Let's sell off the farm as plots of land for people to build on. End of.
Yep. Anyway, as I say, our budget's starting to fall about 40 bits. Yep. We've got the Chamber of Commerce going off its fucking nut at the rise of national insurance. We've got farmers threatening to cut off an already weak food supply chain with food insecurity right up there at this point in time.
Yeah.
Of course, and we've got trade unions who are no fucking happy either.
Yeah.
Even though the public sector's been settled, they're looking at this so-called workers' rights bill, and they're laughing. What the fuck? So our budget and some of the laws they're about to introduce is really coming undone, but that's normal for budgets. So what happens? How did the plug go back? Holy she's about to create? Fucking borrow more. Sorry, create more money.
Well, all they do is they take to the Bank of England. I need 117 billion by 3 o'clock tomorrow.
Aye.
That's it.
Go and find somebody that's computer savvy to put the numbers into a ledger for me, will you, pal?
Yeah, well, that's it. It gets put onto a computer. People do not realise how a central bank operates. A country cannot become bankrupt if it has a central bank.
We know that, David.
However, if somebody produces a gold-backed currency when all the rest of the currencies are faux currencies, not backed by anything, say bye-bye.
Well, that's coming, but we'll not on that subject this time round. So, as I say, the budget really is starting to 40 bits, but most budgets do, to be fair. There's always a backlash for somebody when there's a budget. But at this time, the backlash is universal. And the implications of this budget so far has been investment stalling, investors fleeing, threats of mass job losses, the return of youth conscription through YTS schemes and things like that again.
Who do we talk to join BRICS? Scotland, can you imagine it? If Scotland decide to join BRICS, fuck's sake, that would really put the cat among the pigeons.
No, but as a foreign policy is reserved, David, can it be done?
No, the thing is though, right? Foreign policy. What's that? What is it? What also
in relation to other nations?
What is it you also talk about all the time? Financial what? Which your thing is making up? If somebody's got 20 quid in their pocket, they owe me a fiver.
Fiscal policy.
Correct. That's
fiscal rules.
All these rules are just men and women sitting in rooms deciding, right? As far as I'm concerned, they don't have the power.
That doesn't change.
If they don't have the power, and we decide to join BRICS, Okay,
David, it's just about. You can tell you don't watch my programmes in the moment because I was talking about the table with all the rich people sitting at the top and all the working people with the legs, and all they have to do upset the apple cart is stone up.
Yeah.
You're right, they don't have the power. So because they know they don't have the power, what they're doing is they're impoverishing the people because they're easy to control, and now they're stripping away their human rights. Now, you and I have watched this going on since Thatcher. As they go edgy, as between 1945 and 1979, we took as much power off them as we could.
Yeah.
In the form of free education, in the form of the NHS, in the form of the social net, cradle to grave. We were taking control. The 1% were losing money. Since Thatcher, it's been a complete reversal to put us back to the serfs that we were prior to the Second World War.
Yeah, so
because poor people are
control.
Anyway.
We need to take control. Simple as that. It's now a case of we need to take control.
Yeah, of course we need to take control. Because at this point in time, this is a predicted course. You and I have been talking about this for over a decade. They are stripping away everything that we've gained. From 45 to about 79. The safety net's been stripped away. The NHS has been privatised. Social care has disappeared.
The most important thing that we've got to watch for now, I believe that this country is going to become independent at some point, right? But also, I am worried that we end up with a mini Westminster sat on our doorstep.
Well, David, that's something you and I can do something about if we can get out of the line.
Yeah, that's a case of kicking the bloody doors down.
Well, as I say, when we get right down to it, what is actually happening here, and this is through these budgets, repeated budgets, is they're stripping away and making people poorer and poorer and poorer. And at this point in time, David, you and I, and most of this audience recognise there's been a 14-year genocide going on, and Starmer's decided to intensify it.
Yeah.
Cutting benefits, winter fuel payments scrapped. They're intensifying the rate of this genocide.
Yeah.
But what they're doing is deliberately making people poorer because they become more dependent on the state, and that gives the state control. And then, as we've seen, since they got us into that position with rising poverty and all that, down that road, they've started stripping away their basic human rights like the right to protest.
Yeah. And unfortunately, the people in England are going, oh well.
They don't even know it, David. They don't even know that the right to citizenship has been stripped away, even though they're no fucking citizens of
Only a certain few get it. And those are the ones that end up locked up.
Yes, and they do it. You're absolutely right. They do end up locked up.
Yes.
I guess we're waiting the cops coming.
Something like that.
But I mean, you and I have seen the security bills being passed and the rights being stripped away. We've spoken about them.
Yeah.
I've spoken about them extensively as these bills have come out. Because, like you say, I've got a special anorak and I read this shit.
I'm gonna take great pleasure in burning that fucking anorak someday.
And I think you'll probably be gone before you can get anywhere fucking near. And I'm not likely to stop soaking up information like a big hoover any time soon. Right, let's move on, shall we?
Yeah.
Starmer to suck up to China in light of global trade wars coming. Hey, you couldn't make this up, could you? Everybody in their dug are telling them, Starmer, get closer to the EU. Get closer to the EU. Get closer to the EU. Where's Starmer? He's at G7/G20 sucking up to China.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, yeah, the fact that China have $8 trillion worth of American debt, I suppose really it's that is a good angle to think. Well, let's hook up to China and see if we can take some of that debt, because buying that debt would be worth a lot more than the actual figure that the sum that's marked down the bit of paper.
I mean, the point is, David, right? He's quoting China at the G7/G20, and everybody's saying get closer to Europe to protect yourself with these trade wars. And he goes half a world away looking for protection.
Well, I know.
Well,
And the Chinese will not protect us. You know, trade war is something the Chinese will go, nothing to do with us.
Chinese are already insulating themselves against Trump. That's why he's talking to the Chinese.
Well, Chinese are already building the gold-backed currency.
Along with Russia
And
South Africa and India.
They're starting to produce the petrol yuan.
Aye.
That, you know.
Yep. But as I say,
where does Scotland sign up?
No.
Do we need to phone Putin?
I don't know.
Putin, do you mind if we join BRICS? You know.
But is he hedging his bets here? Is he thinking about joining BRICS and leaving because we don't have any other international partners? Is he hedging his bets?
I don't know.
Because let's face it looks like most of the ex-Commonwealth countries are going to join BRICS.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, is he hedging his bets?
No. Don't know.
See, I don't quite get it because if he's just looking for to increase UK trade, it's not going to help. It's half a world away. We haven't got anything they fucking need except for luxury goods.
Well, we can buy more of China.
Well, we could.
And China will go, that's fine, that's good. It's not going to affect us very much, but thank you very much for the thought.
I don't think I could buy anywhere from China. I use fucking Amazon.
Oh dear.
Everything's made in China.
Yeah,
Then you need to all be made in Taiwan.
Yeah.
And prior to that, Japan.
Yeah.
And prior to that, the UK.
The Japanese stuff, I've got to say, in terms of the electronics and all this stuff, that was good gear.
It's still good gear.
And some of the cars that the Japanese produced were particularly good.
Aye. So,
you know,
but the reason why I brought this one up is, I mean, everybody in the dug is screaming, get closer, get realigned with the EU, get closer, get realigned with the EU.
Yeah.
But it doesn't sound like Starmer's listening. No, you've got business, you've got agriculture, you've got fisheries, even they're on board now.
Yeah.
The Bank of England, the construction companies consortium, they're all saying get back closer to the EU. Drag down red tape, drag down barriers with the EU. But it doesn't seem to be listening. It does not seem to be listening.
I definitely, my thoughts on Starmer are that what he's going to do is he's going to make hay while he can, right? He's on a mission for personal aggrandizement before he gets booted out on his blooming arse.
Now, we'll see how long he lasts. But
Starmer is not going to last a great deal of time. So therefore, any decisions that he makes now, just throw away. That's all they are.
I want to answer this one for Derek, so
go on then.
I'll put it up. No reason why we can't float currency under two different systems. Yes, there is, Derek. We can't issue licences. Only the Bank of England can do that under UK legislation. And at this point in time, Scotland has the power to put that legislation in place. That's what we were talking about earlier when we were talking about setting up in preparation for an independent Scotland.
Right. Also, you can take out your big box of Monopoly that you've got up in the attic, right? You bring the money out and share it amongst all your friends along the street.
And if they agree to accept it, then it has value.
Yes, you can actually run that as a currency. You can actually run it as a currency. It is allowed.
But you can't float it in the international markets, David.
Yeah, I forget the name of the currency that was in England at the time. I've read about it, right?
It was a Camden pound. Stupid that, was it?
No, it worked for a while. Did work for a good while.
Yeah. But the reason why these things ultimately fall down is because you can't float it. You can't use it to buy goods in.
Right.
You can only use it to pass goods around the local community.
Yes.
So that's why these currencies fail.
Yeah.
Right. So the answer is no. You can't float it, and if you can't float, you can't float it under two different systems. You can run, as David has pointed out, you could run a local currency, but you can't float it without a license for the Bank of England.
I doubt, but when Scotland becomes independent, a central bank is really, really important, and we have that. We've got the bones of that in place with the bank that's set up at the moment.
And that's
right? Yeah.
It's all a matter of just getting the legislation prepared to force it through the Parliament, and that's what the Greens want the SNP to continue doing.
Yeah.
Which takes us back here. Right. Anyway, let's move on to the assisted dying. The assisted dying bill, England and Wales.
Yeah.
Now, as we know, David, we recently had a go at passing this a couple of years ago, and it's coming back up in the Scottish Parliament again, the Margot situation, right? It failed then, and it was very contentious. It was a very contentious issue, with nobody being able to agree.
The main argument against it is that at some point, man will look to use any advantage against man.
Aye.
Right? So therefore, what happens is we could have a situation whereby this is gerrymandered by somebody to take someone's life for no other reason apart from greed.
There you go. Well said. Class action. That's absolutely true. There's a reason why the Bank of England was created. Because the Bank of Scotland was created a year earlier than Scotland Central Bank, and couldn't do that. Can't have that.
No.
Right. Anyway. So, of course, now that this issue's come up in England and Wales, we've got the same sort of issues. And everybody's looking at the draft legislation and saying, no, that's not a good idea, and no, that's not a good idea, and no, that's not a good idea, and no, that's not a good idea. So what's basically going to happen is, unsure, but the fact that Starmer has actually done something right for a change is amazing, because he isn't very bright. He's not the brightest of cookies. But the fact that he's leaving this, he's not going to whip the MPs, he's going to leave it to their conscience.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if he'll pass at the first attempt, David. I don't. I think it might go. I think it might fail this time, but be brought back in a few years, like it's been done in Holyrood.
Yeah.
But you never know. But the vote's next week, so we'll keep an eye on it. But as I say, I wanted to say something positive about Starmer, and this is the only thing I can find.
Well, if people are really determined to end their lives, right?
They can.
You can get on an airplane, fly to Switzerland. There's a company called Dignitas. That no problem at all.
That's the bit they're arguing about, Reagan, a week. Safeguards. In the papers here in Scotland, they were talking about the new bill that's been presented in front of the Scottish Parliament on this issue, and they were worried about young people being coerced into opting to leave because they were a burden on their carers.
Yeah, absolutely. Somebody like me, I've had a leg taken off, right? It would have been easy for somebody to say to me, "Oh, well, you got vascular disease or whatever, right? What right have you got to stay here?
Or you're going to become a burden on your family. Why don't you pop your clogs in while you're here? While you're one piece?
State, a burden on the state, So, so yeah, I can see that. I can actually see that.
That's what I'm saying. That's where the argument on this issue seems to be on safeguarding.
Yeah.
On the issue of coercion as well. Pressure being put on people to end their lives because they become a burden in the state and be on their family.
You could write something whereby that was taken care of, that would do no allowance of coercion whatsoever. right? But it would have to be cleverly written.
There you go. There is somebody in England reads a bill. It's Reagan Hoyt. Because apparently he's read the Assistant Dying Bill, and there are strong safeguards there, but there are still issues. And that's the same case here, Reagan. It was how it was the first time round. We're on the second go at it.
Yeah.
So we'll see where it goes. Say, obviously, I can see both sides of the story here, David. With
Yeah.
Dave. And I say, we'll see how that vote goes, because how that vote goes in England may affect how it goes here in Scotland.
Well, also you've got to take into account that people like me that are Christian, right? I'm not allowed to take my own life. I'm not allowed. Simple as that. If I do, then the threat is I automatically end up in hell, right?
Is it no purgatory?
Well, whatever.
Oh, sorry. Protestant Christians go to hell. Catholic Christians stop up in purgatory to give themselves a chance to be redeemed, you know. Thank fuck I'm
no, but you understand that puts an interesting dimension on it.
Yes, and as you know, David, it's generally religious groups who put pressure on for these things.
Yeah.
Right. But as I say, Starmer's actually done something right. What we own about day 150, and he's actually done something right. That's the first thing he's done right.
You look at something like that, and you think to yourself, well, this has worked for the last however many thousand years, the situation that we've got at the moment, right? Why not just continue? The reason that you don't, you want to change is because you realise that there are people where being on this planet is dreadful.
Intolerable.
Yes, and I realise. I mean, pain is something that I've suffered over the past 6 months, and you realise there are people that are in many times more pain than that.
Well, David, here's a news flash for the religious world that I didn't know about. Apparently, the Catholic Church has dumped the notion of purgatory. It doesn't exist anymore. Well, being a Christian, I didn't get the memo. All right, Dodger.
Hang on a second. I spoke on the phone, right? Sorry, you were saying. Oh yeah, David just found out. Right? Okay, fair enough. Okay, right. Bye. So there you go.
That's why, you see, the big problem with us non-Christians is I don't go up to that cathedral in Glasgow and put 50 pence in the box to use a big gold phone to God. Can you hear people in England going, what the fuck are you talking about? It's 2-3 grand to use that phone. It's a local call up here, kids. But me not being a Christian, I don't get the memos, David, you know. Right, let's move on to Mad Biden.
God forgive him, for he knows not what he does. Anyway, there we go.
There we go, and I don't give a fuck either, so there you go, whoever you are. Anyway, Biden sets world on fire by telling Ukraine, aye, go ahead, just fucking bomb Russia. Here's our weapons, take it, on you go. Yeah. Pretty nuts.
He's an old man, and he doesn't care, and he's losing power, and his son's head for prison, and all the rest of it, right?
Aye.
So he should be out of it. He should be away, because the Democrats haven't been voted in. It's the Republicans that won, right? So, end of story.
Right, Reagan's telling us that in the bill down the road, David, this is very similar to the bill here actually, 2 independent doctors on different dates must examine the person, make sure that they're eligible. We also have to put your psychological profiling up here, I know, Reagan, a wee bit, you know, we'll see how it goes.
The thing you add in there is, how do we know that those 2 doctors are not secretly under the employ of an organisation that wants to kill as many people as possible?
Aye, the assassination squad, there you go. Hey, like, the conspiracy theory, let's get back to Biden. Anyway, you know, apparently he's been convinced that North Korea has entered the fray. That North Korea is now fighting in the Ukraine war. Now, this is how easy it is for the mainstream media to absolutely bamboozle people. North Korea sent 3,000 North Korean soldiers, mostly officer class, to Russia on secondment because they've just entered into a defence agreement with each other. So they want to know how things operate. Now, but they go, and not just that, not just that some of these people on secondment, they're also there as official observers. So they're out in the front line. But they're not out there 3,000 strong as a battle group.
Mm-hmm.
Most of them will be in the background learning weapons systems and things like that, David.
Right.
I have pointed out, at any one point in time, 16,760 odds UK military personnel are out in secondment to other NATO nations.
Right. The Western world, as they call it, right, hates North Korea because there was a war many years ago, and it wasn't where America went and won. In actual fact, America lost that war, right? And North Korea was set up. All they did was they set up a line. They said that we're not going to encroach that. The Americans said they're not going to encroach it, and North Koreans said they're not going to encroach it, right? So,
right. I want to address this one. Normally, military observers are in units. They're observing on the front line. So if North Koreans are already deemed, I'm also being told they've upped the number to 10,000. I haven't seen that report. So Gary, if you're telling me there is 10,000, then maybe North Korea are entering the fray. But my understanding was there was 3,000 of them. A battle group has been pointed by class action is roughly 5,000.
It would be, talking dispassionately, it would be a good move for North Korea to be involved. The reason being is that none of the soldiers at this time
are battle hardened. Aye, there's that. Aye, there is that. They say I haven't seen reports saying that they'd upped it to 10,000. The latest report I've seen said 3,000, and as I say, most of them are there because they've entered into an agreement and they'll be there to learn how each other fight. So that when they do have to fight as a single entity, they won't be fucking slaughtering each other by making mistakes. That's what we do. Regan, wait. As I say, I've only seen the official reports that said 3,000. If the media are reporting 10,000, 150,000, a million, you need to take it with a pinch of fucking salt. If it's not coming through diplomatic releases, then it's just the press making it up.
Yeah.
And we do know, because we've recently seen how easily the press make things up when they tried to convince us that a bunch of Israeli football hooligans running riot in Amsterdam was actually people of Amsterdam persecuting the Jewish population.
I know. Honestly, that one was just stupid. It really was. I listened to the news reports coming out, and it was just.
I was watching media feeds. They even sent a wee teenage boy who was filming it.
Yeah.
Who the press were calling a teenage reporter. Maybe. Yeah, we're all citizens, journalists now, aren't we?
Yeah, that's right.
And class action tells that North Korean troops haven't seen action since the 1950s. Aye, you're probably right there.
Aye. Yep.
Right, and the last bit I want to cover, David, because we must be getting near the hour mark, we are, is Israel confirms the annexation of North Gaza. Now, General Isaac Cohen tells the media that North Gaza has been cleared and they won't be allowed back. No aid will be allowed into North Gaza because apparently there are no civilians left there. Now this comes on the back of an order to forcibly move this population from North Gaza. As we know, David, forced relocation is a war crime.
It's genocide.
And
It's
of course,
genocide.
the other thing is, a couple of weeks back, 3 weeks back, I think it was, where the order went out that anybody still in North Gaza was to be considered a combatant and killed. And of course, the no food into North Gaza. If there is any civilian population there, no food getting in, that would be the weaponising of food as a weapon of war. And we know they're already doing that by strangling aid getting into Gaza altogether.
Well, look, you know, I believe there will be a day of reckoning for these particular politicians that are pushing that, right? It may be many years down the road, but for what they have done, there will be a day of reckoning.
Anybody that's got an interest in North Korea, Nathan McAllister tells us there's a fantastic North Korean travel documentary on YouTube. Just type in SAO, documentary North Korea, and apparently it'll come up. Okay, so official lines and the government in Israel are denying the statement made by the general to the press because they know that forced evacuation of these people, or forced relocation, of these people is a war crime. And they know that starving these people is a war crime. So, although the general has made it clear, North Gaza has been cleared, they'll never be allowed back. Official channels in Israel are denying that for the time being, David.
Yeah.
In 4 or 5 years' time, it will be forgotten, and North Gaza will be populated by Israeli folk looking for a settlement, looking for somewhere to settle. One thing's for so sure, it will not be European Jews anytime soon.
Yeah.
Because they're not taking the brunt of this here, because everybody realises it's not the Jewish people, it's the Jewish state.
It's the Zionist state.
The Zionist state, aye. Right, David. That's it for today.
Sorry again, guys, for being sort of late in the door.
Sorry. Coming to fresh means you're bringing a fresh perspective, David. If I just write fucking show you come in and don't know what I'm going to talk about, I can always make things interesting.
You can hear that the tone of my voice now is affected by the stroke. It's because I'm tired. Because I've been going to 6:30 this morning. But nice thing is, I've now got a speech therapist from Cambridge, and I can now say, "Hi now, brown cow," right?
Like it to me. How? No, well, tell.
Well, as I say in Northern Ireland, "Hi now, brown cow."
Aye. We're bringing two here. Right, folks, that's what we'll go for. Thanks for anybody who's given us a super chat today. Thanks to the moderators for moderating. Who else we go to thank? Thank you a lot for watching in such high numbers.
Yes.
And I'll see you all tomorrow morning. And David will see you on Thursday, hopefully.
Yep.
Well, we'll do it all again.
Yep.
Hello, Paul. Need to get together and get something to eat, Paul. I've not got a day off. I've not got a weekend day off for a while, Paul, but I'm off midweek. If you want to hit me up, we'll go for a coffee, buddy.
Paul, you get back to that blown writing again.
Now, folks, tune in to Young Reagan a Week's channel down south. It's called Snowflake channel, I think it's called, or Reagan a Week. Snowflake's channel, and he does a damn good show, and it'll be on the night, I think. So I'll be watching for the ping coming because I've subscribed to his channel, so I'll get a ping to tell me when he's going live. Midweek sounds good to you, Paul. Right, I'll give you a bell. I'm off the Mora on Wednesday, Paul. I'll give you a bell. All right, buddy. That's my old friend, Paul Coven, the indie poet.
Yeah.
Absolutely wonderful chap. And in fact, you're right, David. Make that one. You can give us a cup of coffee, you spanner.
Aye.
Aye. Sounds like fun.
Don't call me a spanner, please.
You're right. It sounds useful. Okay. Yeah, you can't beat a laugh, can you? Especially when times are so gloomy. That's why I put the star up at the end of every newspaper review day.
I should call you Mr. Snips. Cut the fucking red wire! Cut the red wire!
I'm about to. It's 5 o'clock. Hope you found it interesting. I hope you found it informative. Hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, and share it about if you want to.
I'm sure everybody that's here will join me in offering real condolences for the loss of Buster. Buster was a beautiful, beautiful dog, and you had wonderful experiences together.
We did a good one together. I'm trying not to dwell on it, David.
Yeah, you gave that chap a great life. You really did.
I just want to go out of him as he go out of me, I can assure you.
Yeah.
You know. But hey, I say, I hope you found it interesting. I hope you found it informative. Right, all that's left for him to say is independence, independence, independence. All that's left for me to say is eyes on the prize.